What's good, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Zether, and I'm back at it again with the usual intro. So, as you guys can see from the title, today we're going to be going over what if Naruto went back in time. And before I start this video off, I just want to say I hugely appreciate the support on the last video. And I also want to say a quick thing. If you guys want this series to just go on to become a full movie, like I will seriously sit down at my desk and just start scripting the rest of the story out and record it all, like, if you guys get this video to 1,000 likes. You guys get this video to 1,000 likes, I promise I'm dropping the movie next. That's it. And I'll even leave a time frame up on screen on the movie version to let you guys know where the story keeps going. So if you guys want that, I'm just saying, drop 1,000 likes. If not, then I'll just keep going with part by part. But that being said, let's get into the story.
Hey Ross, sauce it up.
We pick our story right back off the morning of the bell test when Kakashi finally ends up arriving. Now the team would look at Kakashi and say, all right, so what are we doing today? As you know, Kakashi would just look at the team and say, see these bells? He would pretty much start like dangling them in front of the team as he would proceed to say, today we're going to be doing, as Naruto would finish his sentence for him, the bell test. Kakashi would look at Naruto and say, precisely Naruto, you want to explain the rules? Naruto would say, I mean, sure, but I'm pretty sure Sasuke already knows about it. He would say, yeah, I do, Naruto. As Sakura would say, oh, I mean, you can explain it to me, Naruto. From here, Naruto would look at Sakura, and Sakura would say, oh, well, that sounds pretty easy, after Naruto finishes explaining everything. And from here, Naruto would then look at Kakashi, as Kakashi at this moment proceeds to pretty much just sit there and take out the Makeout Tactics book in his hand. He would then begin reading it as he would say 3, 2, 1, begin. And immediately Naruto and Sasuke would both blitz at the clone. Now, keep in mind, at this point, many of you guys might be like, all right, Naruto and Sasuke blitzed at the clone. I don't know if I believe that. Listen to me. Naruto and Sasuke have quite literally been best friends since they were about the age of 8 years old, right? Naruto and Sasuke are 8 years old, and they've been with each other until the point where now they are currently 13 years old, I believe, in the story. So they pretty much had a solid 5 years to train together and get to know each other very well. Not to mention, Naruto and Sasuke during these past 5 years have been trained by elite shinobi, such as Itachi, Sasuke's brother, Shisui, Minato, Fugaku, Kakashi himself, Hiruzen on some occasions. Like, if you stop to think about how like insane they have been training for the past 5 years, it's going to be making so much sense when you guys hear about the things that Naruto and Sasuke are going to be pulling off when fighting against Kakashi. So both of them are extremely powerful. Sasuke is in a league of his own. He literally has access to 2 Tomoe Sharingan in one eye and 1 Tomoe in the other one, while Naruto himself has access to 2 tails of the 9 tails chakra. Not only that, but he's already adept with creating Rasengans with one hand. Many of you guys might be like, hey yo, but Naruto couldn't do that. You also have to keep in mind that Naruto at that age wasn't able to create a Rasengan because Kurama was always constantly messing with his chakra. This Naruto, if anything, is pretty much helped by Kurama, and also to mention the fact that Naruto in this version is just a completely different animal. This is not the same Naruto that many of us know and love. This is a smarter, more powerful, more confident, more knuckleheaded at the same time than the Naruto that we all pretty much ended up growing up with. So instead, what ends up happening is Naruto and Sasuke just rush at Kakashi, and they end up forcing him to pretty much take his Sharingan out. He would pretty much have to create some distance and reveal his Sharingan, to which at this point, the battle would then begin to get more even. Naruto, Sasuke, and Kakashi would pretty much just be battling for hours. And you guys might be like, but Kakashi can't battle for hours. Keep in mind, this version actually had Minato stay alive. Minato was Kakashi's sensei at one point, and Naruto got stronger, Sasuke's getting stronger, the village is moving in a different direction, so Kakashi ended up having to actually keep up with his training and not slack off. Not to mention, Kushina definitely makes sure that Kakashi never ended up slacking off as much as he did, So a lot of things were pretty much prevented when it comes to Kakashi growing up and stuff like that. That being said, Kakashi is going to be a whole lot stronger, and let's just say that he's about as strong as he was during the Fourth Great Shinobi World War. And he has increased stamina, and he already has access to his Mangekyo Sharingan. So Kakashi is definitely somebody that you do not want to mess with. That being said, the battle goes on for hours and hours on end, with Naruto and Sasuke continuing to press Kakashi, Kakashi creating a bunch of clones, and everybody going back with taijutsu attacks. They would pretty much be playing mental games at this point, as Sasuke would throw kunais, fireballs, Kakashi would substitute, use clones. He would end up holding Sasuke. He would take them out each individually and then like go after the other one. Like he would pick off Naruto, then pick off Sasuke, and kind of just go back and forth with attacking each of them individually. And both of them were getting pressed pretty heavily, and they pretty much ended up fighting until sundown. And that just comes to show how much incredible stamina this version of Team 7 has. That said, since they are literally fighting until sundown, Minato would have ended up wondering where his son was. So he pretty much would have ended up using his flying Raijin mark and teleported straight over towards Naruto, to which he ended up pretty much teleporting into the middle of Kakashi, Sasuke, and Naruto fighting. Minato at this point would have caught Sasuke and Kakashi's hand, who were actually both about to hit him, and pretty much threw them in opposite directions, as Naruto came flying at him with a Rasengan point blank to his face, but Minato pretty much flying Raijin to a different mark in the village and got away from that, and then pretty much like went right back to see his son Naruto like breathing heavily and sweating tons. At this point, Minato would look at Kakashi and say, "So you definitely kept these boys busy," with Kakashi saying, "I kept them busy. I'd use my Sharingan for hours and hours on end. Who knows how much stronger they got after that much fighting," with Minato saying, "Yeah, they usually don't even last even an hour against me," with Kakashi being like, "Maybe it's because you're the Hokage. You know, I don't know, but something about being Kage might come with a little bit of strength. I don't know. That's just what I think." But anyways, when Minato ends up arriving, he has a smile on his face. He's happy that his son got so much stronger. And, he's thinking about the Naruto from the future, and, if he's doing a good job of making Naruto powerful enough to one day deal with, threat on that level, because Minato knows he's not going to be around forever. So eventually, Naruto's going to have to step up and, kind of take over the village for him, or Sasuke, because Minato knows Sasuke actually wants to become Kage. So, he kind of took Sasuke under his wing as much as he took Naruto. So they're both really powerful in their own right. And, they're all doing good things. But this is when Minato would point out that Sakura the whole day was pretty much just watching the battle. And Sakura would literally be passed out by the tree, and she would be woken up by Minato just like snapping at her, being like, hey, Sakura, wake up. Sakura would be like, huh? What happened? And Minato would then begin to explain that the team is definitely strong enough. With Kakashi, Naruto, and Sasuke there, they could probably take on C-rank missions, but the team is only as strong as their weakest link. So Sakura has some catching up to do. To which Minato would smile at her, and Sakura would feel a little down until Minato would say, I could honestly just have Kushina train you up for a couple of weeks. With Team 7 being like, oh no, like do not do that. And Kushina would end up pretty much being asked to train Sakura up. So for the next weeks, Kushina would end up pretty much training Sakura for hours and hours on end, and Sakura would end up being put through torture, because training with Kushina is not easy, to put it lightly. Training with Kushina is like hell times 10. So Sakura had a hard time, but she definitely ended up getting a lot of gains from this training. So yeah. After this, they immediately pretty much go on to be assigned as Team 7, and the whole team in their entirety end up completing about 2 C-rank missions, until eventually the day comes when they end up walking into Minato's office, and Tazuna comes in a drunken mess. Minato would then proceed to explain to the team that they have an escort mission, and that it should be simple just like the other 2. From here, the team would think, a B-rank mission is in order, and Minato would say that they could probably go on a B-rank mission after having this one go the right way. And so the team would look at each other and be like, okay, that sounds easy enough. So the team would pretty much end up kind of having like a little bit of a celebratory night, saying that this is gonna be like probably one of their last sea rank missions, and they would go out to get some ramen because Naruto still absolutely loves ramen. Not only that, but Minato and Teuchi know each other, so Minato definitely gets that Hokage discount, if you know what I'm saying. And they just have a good night in general. The next day would of course end up rolling around, and it's at this point that the team would end up meeting at the bridge. Oh no, not at the bridge, but the village gates. When they end up all arriving at the village gates, give me a second, boys. My bad, guys. I had to hold in a burp. Anyways, though, what's it called? Naruto and them would pretty much proceed to go on their journey, and let's say about 30 minutes in, they end up running into a puddle on one of the hottest days of the year. Now, when Kakashi sees this, he immediately just kind of like acts as if he got. Well, no, actually, no. I don't think Kakashi would do that. Sorry, because Kakashi this time doesn't have some students with him who are just completely oblivious to the world around them. This time, all three of the people on his team are actually aware of what goes on. So instead, Kakashi simply just stands in front of the bridge builder as the two demon brothers pretty much rush at Tazuna, and Kakashi would hold both of his arms out, catching them and slamming them into the ground, saying that, they're not going to be hurting him anytime soon. He takes out the demon brothers, and after this he ends up actually questioning Tazuna how come some bounty hunters came after them. Tazuna starts sweating profusely and ends up pretty much spilling the beans, saying that he's sorry, that his little grandson would be so sad if his grandfather didn't return alive, and the team would pretty much end up getting guilt tripped, to be honest. Now, after Tazuna guilt tripping them, Kakashi would say, we were gonna do the mission anyways. I mean, it's not like we can't handle anything like a B or an A rank mission. As from here, Tazuna would have like a thank you face, and they would continue on with their mission until eventually they run into Zabuza. Now, honestly, guys, I would love to tell you guys that this battle is the same way that it goes in canon, so I can just skip through this and not have to take so much time with the Land of the Waves arc. But instead, I'm gonna keep it real with you guys. This version of Kakashi has been training for far more years. This version of Kakashi, not only that, has far more stamina when it comes to his Sharingan. And as soon as he noticed that there was a threat, a pretty high level threat, he ended up pretty much deciding that, yeah, he was gonna be taking this threat out pretty fast. So Kakashi would actually end up taking out his Sharingan and immediately proceeding to mop the floor with Zabuza. Once it appeared that Zabuza was starting to get pretty much like immediately put onto the back foot, Tazuna started trying to create as much, no, not Tazuna, but Zabuza would start to create as much distance as he could in order for Haku to come in, and then it became a 2-on-1 battle. However, as soon as it got to that point, Naruto and Sasuke pretty much ended up jumping in and started literally jumping Haku. This is like no other jumping you guys have ever seen before. Sasuke immediately jumped into action, throwing a bunch of like kunais and shuriken in different directions with wires, literally trapping Haku in one spot. And Naruto would throw a kunai at Haku, to which it would miss, and Haku would be thinking that he missed. He would say, "You missed." But this is when Naruto would catch the kunai midair and say, "Did I?" behind him, as like this insane like moment happens where Naruto pretty much like slams a Rasengan into Haku's back, just completely destroying Haku, and then proceeding to just look at Sasuke as they both like smile at each other. Simultaneously, however, Kakashi would have quite literally impaled Chidori straight into Zabuza's heart, and both of the enemies that they had to face would just be taken down so swiftly. Tazuna and Sakura watching behind, like just watching as everything just pretty much went down, would just be like, y'all are insane. And, Team 7 would just proceed to tell Tazuna that, the biggest threat should probably have been neutralized by now. So they end up making their way towards Tsunami's house, where they end up meeting Inari. And this time what ends up going down is Naruto, when Inari starts freaking out, saying that, they're better off just leaving, Naruto pretty much ends up telling Inari that if he doesn't be quiet right now, he's gonna feel the wrath of Team 7. And when Tazuna hears that, he proceeds to say, my apologies for my grandson. He doesn't know what he's talking about. You know what I mean? And Naruto would just start laughing, saying, dude, I'm totally kidding. As he would proceed to tell Inari not to worry and say that he's going to be saving his land. or his village or whatever, saying that he promises or he isn't the son of Minato. And from here, Inari would have like a sort of smile on his face as Naruto would proceed to quite literally just have a couple of normal days. Team 7 would end up pretty much training together, and their main focus would be on Sakura, teaching her more about chakra control, finding out her nature affinity, which I'm just going to say is water, and pretty much just focusing a lot on her taijutsu abilities. They would proceed to essentially just have about 2 weeks worth of kind of just chilling, not really doing much in terms of being in the land of the waves, until eventually Gato and his men would arrive. Now, when Gato and his men would arrive, I'm guessing many of you guys probably thought that Naruto, Sasuke, and Kakashi were just going to single-handedly take them out, but instead, Team 7 would actually decide that it would be a really good training method if Sakura was actually the one that was tasked to take out all of Gato's men by the bridge. So that's exactly what they have happen. Kakashi, Naruto, and Sasuke pretty much say that they'll help if she needs, but if she's not able to at least take all of them out by herself yet, then she's kind of just gonna be a lost cause. So Sakura, feeling the pressure of knowing that her beloved Sasuke-kun is watching, she would proceed to take things very, very seriously, snapping into her game mode and saying, "Cha! I'm gonna do this," you know what I mean? At this point, she'd be like, "I'm gonna beat you all, you know?" And Naruto, hearing that come from Sakura's mouth, he'd be like, "Huh, so she picked up on my mom's mannerisms. That's great." He would proceed to see as Sakura rushes in there and uses chakra enhanced punches to just start knocking people back and forth. She starts creating a bunch of shadow clones, not a bunch really, more like 7 shadow clones as she runs in, and they start using kunais to pretty much dismantle many of Gato's men that were on the bridge. When Sakura finally finishes and she was about to get to Gato, that's the point when Naruto proceeded to grab Gato and teleport back to one of his flying Raijin markers in front of Inari. Now when Inari saw Gato, he flipped out and he was like, "It's Gato!" But Naruto then would appear behind Gato saying, "Hey, I told you I'd forget him for you." And Naruto would then proceed to give him to the villagers, to which they proceed to do stuff to him that they proceed to do not nice stuff to Gato, to say the least. Not only that, but a lot of Gato's money is then taken by the village hidden in the waves. No, not hidden in the waves, but the land of the waves, and then proceeded to take a little bit of a extra commission by Team 7 for the 2 weeks that they were there and all that stuff. So Team 7 was reimbursed for this C-rank mission quite handsomely. Not only that, but once they end up inevitably making their way back to Konoha, they end up getting a pay raise by, not Hiruzen, but Minato, who ends up pretty much establishing that mission was more like a B-rank mission for the fact that they had to fight against Zabuza, one of the 7 legendary swordsmen of the mist. So what ends up going down after this is Minato would look at Naruto as he would ask him how he's feeling about the Chunin exams, with Naruto saying that this Chunin exams is gonna be a breeze. His only competition is standing right next to him. And Minato would look at Naruto saying that he hopes that's the case, but there's other ninjas in other villages and some very talented, capable shinobi in our village as well. So Naruto, if I was you, I'd be watching out. Naruto would just do the thing where he wipes his nose. Not like wipe his nose, but he sticks out one finger under his nose and has a cheeky smile or something. I don't know, dude. But he just does this really OG Naruto type thing. And Minato just proceeds to say, "All right, anyways, you're all just dismissed." Minato would then tell Naruto to be home for dinner early today because yesterday Kushina got mad at him. And he would end up telling Naruto that he's gonna have to be a little bit more strict if Naruto doesn't, start showing up. Naruto would think about his mom getting angry and be like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and make it today." So Naruto would end up making it to the dinner and they all have a really good night. For the following 2 weeks, Naruto at this point would start working more and more on his flying Raijin, because as things stand, Naruto can only use about 4 flying Raijin teleportations in one day, because the flying Raijin takes a whole lot of chakra out of him. Even though Naruto has plenty to go around, it definitely does drain his body a little bit due to the fact that, the flying Raijin is a really high ranking ninjutsu. So I'm just going to be saying that that's pretty much what ends up happening. That being said, what ends up going down after this is Team 7 pretty much ends up kind of going through the village one day when they end up running into Gaara's team. Now, they end up running into Gaara's team, and the way that they do this is that, they end up pretty much walking um, across some of the random shops in the Hidden Leaf Village, and Kankuro pretty much just like is being rude to one of the shopkeepers. So when Naruto sees this, he's wanting to say something, but Sasuke just puts his hand out in front of Naruto and says, "Let me handle this one." He would immediately proceed to say, "Hey, is this guy bothering you?" To the shopkeeper, of course, and he would say, "Oh, yes, young man, like he's trying to not to pay because he said he didn't enjoy it." And Sasuke would be like, "Oh, that's not very nice, now is it?" As he would say, "So, you think you're gonna pay, or are you gonna have to speak to me about this matter?" Kankuro at this point would say, "Stick butt out of here, dude. This doesn't concern you." And Sasuke would end up pretty much unveiling a Sharingan saying, "But I think it does." To which he would see some strings attached to Kankuro's fingers and saying, "A puppet master, huh?" Kankuro at this moment would take out his puppet, and Naruto would blitz behind Kankuro as he holds a kunai to his neck and says, "Dare threaten my brother, and I will I will gut you, my boy." And Kankuro was just like, "Noted." He proceeds to stop everything, and this is when Tamari arrives like right next to Kankuro because Gaara is just out in the forest being a weirdo, talking about some blood, I need blood. You know what I mean? Like, we all know how Gaara was when we first met him. Anyways, though, after this little beautiful situation happens, Naruto and Sasuke would proceed to train together just like they always do. So Naruto would say, "Don't you think it's kind of weird how we're training together even though we're going to have to fight each other at the Chunin exams?" Sasuke would just look at Naruto and say, "Honestly, I mean, a little bit." And Naruto would say, how about we just train by ourselves for a couple of weeks, just until we have to fight during the Chunin exams battle." And Sasuke would say, "You're on, Naruto. Whoever loses has to do whatever the other person says for a week." And Naruto would just look at Sasuke as he says, "Oh, you're on." And, they both end up pretty much going their separate ways and training, preparing for the Chunin exams. However, guys, like I said, if you guys want the next part of this video, simply just hit the like goal. There's really no like button goal for today's video. However, if you guys want the series to drop as an entire movie, and you guys just want the full series to come out like right after this, then smash 1,000 likes. That being said, though, guys, that has been it for me today. I love each and every single one of you guys. My name is Zether, and I'm out. Peace.